get ready to laugh, cry, and raise your vibration in more ways than one. If you're ready to release and free yourself of shame, stop taking yourself so seriously and feel more joy right now. I am so excited you're here for this incredible part 2 episode with award-winning super talent Chelsea Handler, who opens up in ways she's never opened up before and shares things she's never shared before, including real, raw, and honest ways to live your best life now. If you're ready to live life on your own terms and feel that freedom of finally being who you truly are, confidently and unapologetically, then today's episode is truly going to change your life.
I feel very free.
Yeah.
I feel free. I don't feel beholden to anyone. It's about feeling free enough to be who you are and know that you're lovable. I have come to a place in my life where there is no shame in my game. You have to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
You have to believe in yourself if anyone else is going to believe in you.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to be that for another person. You have to tell someone, I believe in you. When you see someone down or you see someone struggling.
Do you believe in God? You said that you believe that Roe v. Wade being overturned was a result of the Me Too movement.
Yeah.
You professed your interest in having sex with then New York City Governor Andrew Cuomo, and you guys ended up on a phone call and then sexting.
I was talking to Joy Behar and Whoopi, I think it was, and I said I would like to be penetrated by the governor of New York. 3 days went by, and then I heard from him. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. I'm going to become the first lady of New York. He was just very flirty. He liked it.
Did you ever send pictures or anything back and forth?
Yes, I sent pictures. I pulled the top down of my bikini, and I was like, and my brother Roy is taking the picture of me, and I'm sure he probably had to delete that.
Or he made a poster out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Did he ever send any photos back? Did he sext back? You were popping edibles to meet former President Bush.
I was very stoned when I met the former president of the United States, George W. Bush, and I told him so. I let him know that I was indeed very, very stoned, and he was very cute about it.
Do you try to avoid spending time around people who completely don't agree with what you agree with?
I can't really spend time around conspiracy theorists. That's a level that I'm not willing to expose. I don't need that energy around me.
Yeah.
I find that to be very low vibes.
You know the earth is flat, right?
Yeah. By the way, I thought that for a long time too.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought the moon and the sun were the same thing for a long time. I'm a late bloomer. Anything involving science.
I knew this. You thought the earth and the sun were the same thing.
Yeah.
What age were you?
40.
In your book, you say drugs are for me.
I love drugs. I love edibles. I love smoking pot. I love LSD microdosing. I love mushroom microdosing. I understand drugs are not for everyone. They are for me.
How often do you do them?
Oh. When you are working in concert with the universe and you are happy and you choose happiness and you choose optimism, everything in life becomes easier.
And you feel it.
Yes. What kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to be putting out the good vibes or the negative vibes? And the negativity is very infectious, and it can feel really good, and the payoffs can feel really good in the moment. Gossiping and being mean-spirited about someone that you both don't like, and but that's not where I will not ever spend my time doing that in this life again. If anyone can hustle, I can hustle. So I welcome it, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to come up here and sit down with you. I'm not like, oh God, I gotta go drive up to Montecito. No, it's the opposite. It's like, I can't wait to go have an incredible conversation with this amazing woman. And then I get to your house and I'm blown away by this whole thing. Like, how happy making is it?
I have to say, when I first met you, it was like one thing after another was so positive. Like you're emitting that high vibration about whatever the circumstances.
Yes.
Which is such a beautiful thing to witness.
Well, I haven't always been this way.
Yeah.
Just, and I'm not in a cult. Or, for anyone who's listening who's like, this is a little too positive.
Yeah.
No, it's just I've learned the effects of being positive, and it's just like a ripple effect, and it makes people in your life happy. What I'm really looking for is like a spiritual connection. Like I want to love you up, and I want to be loved up, and there's nothing else I need from you. A lot of men have a really hard time with that. Female empowerment benefits us all. All ships rise with the tide. So when women do well, men actually do better. As women, that's not going to diminish our success. We might feel a little bit less protected by the country, but women are crushing it, and nothing is ever going to stop that, which is why they're so scared in the first place. We have to even get stronger and more connected and help more people. You will not tamp down women. I have more faith in women than I do in men. So we're not going anywhere.
And I don't know if you're joking or not, but about this idea of men going extinct. Do you think that is something that will ever happen?
Parthenogenesis is when females are able to procreate without male sperm. And it's happened to a few different species. It's happened to an anaconda. It happened to a condor. We are evolutionarily 1,000 years behind animals. So if men don't clean up their act, we're not going to even need them to make fucking babies at one point, okay? We're already able to do it without a penis. You know what I mean? So I would really recommend everyone getting their acts together before they do become extinct.
Speaking of penises, in your book, one of my favorite parts of many favorite parts. Oh, it's so good, Chelsea.
Jamie Kern Lima is her name.
Everybody needs Jamie Kern Lima in their life.
Jamie Kern Lima.
Jamie, you're so inspiring.
Jamie Kern Lima.
When you think about the idea of success leaves clues, when you think about why so many people are not just fans of your work, but are fans of you, I believe, tell me if you agree with this, I believe that in addition to obviously your talent, in addition to all of that, you're one of, and I'm going to say the few people who are willing to just fully be who they are. Like, whether it comes to judgment or anything else, like you share who you are. You say, I sleep with my ski instructor, and you say, I did LSD today, and you say, like, you're fully who you are. Do you? And I think that allows people to connect with you. Do you think that's true?
I feel very free.
Yeah.
I feel free. I don't feel beholden to anyone.
Yeah.
I don't feel beholden. The way that I've put my life together, like if I think about the things that I'm doing, okay, so I have my book is coming out. I have my special that's coming out next month. I have my podcast that I do all the time, and I'm on tour. I have a residency. All of those things, I am only accountable to myself. No one gives me notes on any of that. I don't have a boss. I'm my boss, right? So the sense of freedom that I feel is because I have self-generated so much freedom in my career, understanding how important it is to trust your gut, make your own decisions, and fly freely. Like, you're not going to smack my hand and tell me what I can and cannot do. I'm not going to allow that on behalf of women. It's not even just about me. Like, I feel like it's about so much more than that. And so when I think about the things and like, people are why don't you act more? I would love to act. I would love to do something like that. But it has to be under the understanding that I'm always going to be the person I am. Like, no one's in charge of me ever. You know what I mean? What I'm going to bring is going to be valuable. And when you recognize that, then that's going to be the right project for me. I don't want, and the reason I'm so forthcoming about my personal life, and I like what you said, because it's not a judgment when people aren't that way or people are private. I used to be like, God, everyone's so uptight and so insecure. It's really not about that. It's about feeling free enough to be who you are and know that you're lovable and that honesty is a lovable, beautiful thing. And so just to keep dishing it out, the reason why I have a fan base and why I have a career is obviously because of my fans. And I'm so grateful for everything that they've given me because every opportunity I have is because of this fan base that I have cultivated. And they expect the truth from me. And I'm not going to let them down.
Yeah. In your book, you say drugs are for me.
They are.
Can you share?
I love drugs. I love edibles. I love smoking pot. I can't really smoke pot because my voice, it has a bad impact on my throat and voice, which I hate because I love smoking pot too. But I do once in a while. But I mostly have edibles. I love LSD microdosing. I love mushroom microdosing. There isn't a drug that I've met that I've had a bad reaction to. And I would like to say, I understand drugs are not for everyone. They are for me.
How often do you do them?
Oh, all the time. I mean, not every day, but I'll go to bed. I'll always take an edible to go to bed, rather than I try not to take too many sleeping pills, if I'm traveling and going to different time zones. So edibles are a better alternative to that. But if I'm out on the weekend and we're having a fun day, I'll have a little microdose of LSD, microdose mushrooms all the time. If I'm going to dinner, I'll have a little mushroom gummy. I love it. And I love the way it enhances my enthusiasm to go out and socialize. Sometimes I'm exhausted and I don't want to, and sometimes I need a little help. But I have come to a place in my life where there is no shame in my game because that my alcohol and drug use has only enhanced my productivity and my success. Being honest about it, not being shameful about it, not ever abusing it to the point where I have to give it up, to understand that there are boundaries and you can't just go hog wild. You're going to pay a price for that. So I have a very clear understanding of what my limits are and I'm also very responsible because I'm a professional. So I do have to get up every morning and I go to the gym and I work out and I take very good care of myself and I eat very healthfully.
Never late.
And I'm never late. And so when anybody wants to pretend that drugs and alcohol create degenerates, yes, they can, but that's not always the case. So I always like to share that with people because that's a very old way of thinking. And I'm about to publish my 7th book, my 7th New York Times bestseller, right? Mm-hmm. So you can't do that if you're a degenerate. So
I love the story in your book about the couple in their 70s. I'm not even going to give it away because everyone needs to get the book. It is not only so funny and so just, I know you're obsessed with words and I mean, it's just so well written. But you just take so much out of it. I know I shared earlier, I felt like I closed the book and I had borrowed so much of your courage to feel more bold. There's just so much that you get out of the book. One thing that you shared in it that I wanted to ask you about, you professed your interest in having sex with then New York City Governor Andrew Cuomo, and he had heard about this, and you guys ended up on a phone call and then sexting, and then he disappeared after that, ghosted
me.
When you were on the phone with him or texting, how did he respond?
He was very flirtatious. He ate it up. I knew I wanted it. I went on The View and pronounced my declaration. I declared my attraction for him.
Yeah.
I said I would like to say, I was talking to Joy Behar and Whoopi, I think it was. And I said, I would like to be penetrated by the governor of New York. I want to just throw that out there. And then I got off the Zoom because it was during COVID. So we're on a Zoom and I got off the Zoom. And I was like, now we wait. He will be in touch. I knew it. And 3 days went by, and then I heard from him. And he left a message, which I played probably 1,000 times. I went to go look for it a few months ago when I was writing the book, and it was gone. And I was like, I wanted to play it for my editor. But anyway, enough people had heard it by then anyway. And then he called me on the phone, and we talked one night. I was at my girlfriend's house in her backyard. We were having a COVID dinner party, and I was on the phone with him, just walking around in the backyard, jumping up and down like a schoolgirl. Everyone knew I was on the phone with Andrew Cuomo, and they're all just like, oh my God, we're at my friend DJ's house. And they're all like, oh my God. And I'm like, like I was 16. I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. I'm going to become the first lady of New York. Like that's how I was thinking about it. So he was just very flirty. He liked it. I think he was getting a lot of attention at that time, probably from lots of other women as well as me. So we texted back and forth, and it was cute. We were set up a dinner date. We were going to talk about. We were talking about I was going to Maine, so I was like, oh, I'll come and have a dinner date, at the Albany mansion. We could do it outside to be COVID friendly. And so all of these things I thought were in progress, but then once it became real and I was on the East Coast, I never heard from him again.
Did he ever did you ever send pictures or anything
Yes.
back and forth?
Yes, I sent pictures, of course. It's very flirty pictures. Of course. There was one picture I took, like, I think my brother took this of me because once he ghosted me and I realized, like, okay, it's over. Like, it's not happening. You know what I mean? Like, once I accepted that,
Yeah.
then I just kind of didn't care. And I was like, my brother and I said, I'm going to send, my sister's like, send him one more picture. So I'm like on my Vespa. I'm on a Vespa in Maine. We're renting this house. I have a face mask on and a helmet, like showing him how safe I am because of COVID, He was yelling at all of us about COVID at this point. So I was wanting to be responsible. And I had a bikini on and I pulled the top down of my bikini and I was like, and my brother Roy is taking the picture of me and my sister Simone walks out and she's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? That is your brother. But at that point, I just thought like the idea of a topless photo of Chelsea Handler somehow accidentally going through the governor's phone and then landing on one of those like big screens during like his early morning COVID briefings on CNN or Fox or MSNBC just brought so much joy to me. Like the idea that I could possibly disrupt the country in that way and give everybody a little ounce of laughter.
Yeah.
So I didn't care at that point, but no, that didn't happen. That picture wasn't transmitted onto MSNBC.
Did it ever surface anywhere?
No, I'm sure he probably had to delete that.
Or he made a poster out of it?
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, that's right. Exactly.
Did he ever send any photos back?
No, he never sent any photos back.
Did he like sext back? Like, was it?
No, it wasn't sexty. It was flirty. But he just was really enjoying the attention. Yeah. And I was filming my special at the time, a special, and I was trying to find a venue in New York. So he was also helping me with that because everything was shut down, right? So we had to do it at an outdoor venue, but I really wanted to shoot it during COVID and like, be done with it. Yeah. And I didn't want COVID to stop me. And that was another, example of like not letting the circumstances that you find yourself in prohibit you from succeeding. Yeah. There's people who can find success in any environment. And just because COVID, everyone's like, no, it's impossible. You can't shoot your special. I was like, yes, I can. I'm going to find some place and I'm going to do it. And even if it's only 100 people, like this is a special I need to get out. I'm ready to put it out there. And we did. We found this beautiful old historic train station in New York. We had like 150 people outside and we shot that special and it was on HBO Max. And I was able to get that done, and I think that's a very also important thing that I always want to share with so many women is you have to believe in yourself. Yeah. You have to believe in yourself if anyone else is going to believe in you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes you have to be that for another person. You have to tell someone, I believe in you when you see someone down or you see someone struggling so that you can infuse them with the self-belief that they're lacking in that moment.
That's so good. Do you believe you're also divinely protected? And what I mean by that is, in your book, which everyone needs to grab right now, I'll have what she's having because it's so good. One of the things you talk about is, after the Governor Cuomo thing, when then the whole scandal broke about him. Mm-hmm. And I think it was your sister suggested your mom in heaven intervenes and make sure that, nothing bad happens to you, that you stay on track. Do you believe that you're divinely protected by your mom, by your brother? Do you believe in God? And what's your role in faith in your life right now?
I believe that there's a lot of stuff that we don't know. I do believe in magic and spirits. And I don't think that energy dies. I don't think it doesn't. It transforms. So I think when someone dies, with my mother, I believe that she is around me. I feel her around me all the time.
Yeah.
I have this symbol between my mom and me. When I see oranges out of place, that's my mom telling me it's okay. When I see two oranges, it's my mom and brother telling me it's okay. And you know, I can't see them in a grocery store or, you know, in your kitchen. But if I see them, I was skiing once on my birthday. I believe it was like my 44th birthday. And I was in Whistler. I'm always there for my birthday, except for this year because my book release. But, and I was skiing through these trees with a girlfriend of mine. And there was an orange in the middle of the trees. And I skied into it and it popped up.
Oh, wow.
And it was like a snowy day. So there was a lot of snow. Like I wouldn't have seen it unless I skied right into it. And there was an orange and it was my birthday. And I knew right away my mom was there. I just knew it. So I do believe in that. I believe there's a man in the sky. No, I believe there is a universal intelligence and the universe is here to guide that. There is some intelligence that we can't see. But when you tap into your best self, you feel it every single day. Even when the circumstances aren't what you imagine, when you are working in concert with the universe and you are happy and you choose happiness and you choose optimism, everything in life becomes easier.
And you feel it.
Yes.
I always say like you're in alignment with your assignment.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
And not to resist the stuff. Like I think our biggest, and this is a lesson that took me so long to understand, when things don't go your way, let go. Don't fight. Like it's okay. Let go of your attachment to the outcome of everything. You have to let go of that to enhance your own life.
Yeah. I always believe in my life, like, oh my gosh, I've had so many years of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rejections in building my first business. And I know in the entertainment industry, that's rejection on steroids. But I've always believed that like rejection's God's protection. And I also think that like, and so yeah, when I get rejected now or something doesn't go my way, like in the past, I'd be like, oh, I'm not enough, or I'd have all those thoughts. Now I literally, Chelsea, I believe, and I think this is universal, whether someone believes in God or the universe or any of that. I think I believe God will block our value from people who aren't assigned to our destiny. Like I believe it. So if there's like a friend and I'm like, oh, why didn't I get invited to the thing? I'm like, oh, I'm not, like I trust it now. I don't feel,
Right.
and I feel like the right people will come into my life. And if somebody doesn't see my value, and I really believe like, okay, I've got to trust that it's being blocked for some reason. And I have to trust it's like for a higher good.
I love that.
And I have now saved so much time worrying or trying to,
The stress and the worry.
Yeah.
And the negative talk. You know, I like, even when I send a text to a close friend.
Yeah.
And like, let me think of a good example. Like, I'm never, ever going to put negativity in writing. Do you know what I mean? Like when I'm sending a text, like if they say, oh, hey, do you want to do this, they send, my publicist send me a list of podcasts. Here are your offers. Which ones would you like to do? I won't even say I don't want to do one. I say, I'd like to do this, and this. These sound so exciting. I'm just so much more aware of putting positivity out instead of negativity. Instead of saying, I don't want to do something. No. Tell me what you do want to do. I can't go to dinner. Like, even if it's just the simplest exchanges. I've stopped myself, like when I've realized I might be making fun of someone in a text. I'm like, no, I don't want to be putting anything like that. Writing something down has like an energetic impact about your whole life. So like, I've always felt that way about writing. You know what I mean? Be careful what you write. It's going to be there forever. Anyone can hack any of your things. But not just from like a paranoid, perspective of, oh, someone might read this one day. From what kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to be putting out the good vibes or the negative vibes? And the negativity is very infectious, and it can feel really good, and the payoffs can feel really good in the moment. Gossiping and being mean-spirited about someone that you both don't like, and but that's not where I will not ever spend my time doing that in this life again.
I want everyone to hear the detail in what you just said. Because a lot of people do that and don't even realize they're doing it.
Right.
You could do it and have a big payoff most of us don't get, which is you make people laugh. You could make people laugh by doing it on top of it, and you're that tuned in where when someone says, oh, here's a list of podcasts, you won't even say like, oh, I don't want to do those. You're going to say, oh, here's the ones I want to do. You're tuned into that level of what you're putting out.
And also, like, this was the example I was going to say. It's like, how sometimes somebody will invite you to dinner or I'll invite someone to dinner, and then they respond with, I can't, I have to do this, 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 and this, and this. That's not necessary. Just like, I would love to, tonight doesn't work. Let's find another night. Yeah. Like, don't list your grievances to other people. Yeah. I would never say, I have one of the busiest lives probably anyone in my, like, I know how busy my life is. I would never sit and list all of the things I have to do to another person and write that in a text. There's so much of
like a friend asking you to come over.
Yeah, can you come over to, if someone said, hey, are you doing anything? Can you come over? I'd love to. Today's not going to work. This is when I'm in town again. Let's see if we can hook up then. Yeah. Make it positive. Don't write down everything that's just not helpful. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's not the vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we attract that. We attract whatever energy we're putting out. Right. And the people you were saying earlier, you don't have people even in your life anymore that would lower your vibration instantly or anything else. Right?
Like my cousin, we came home last weekend and I've been hitting it pretty hard because my tours a few nights a week, like 3 nights a week, we travel somewhere, and it's, that has an effect on your system, and you're tired after you do 3 shows in a row. And we were coming back, and we were landing on Monday, and I was walking straight into my podcast. I was interviewing Riley Keough at the time, and for her book. Yeah. And my cousin was on the road with me, and she has a young daughter. And she's like, I am going home and getting into bed for 8 hours straight. I'm not speaking to my husband. I'm not speaking to my daughter. I have to recover from this weekend because of all the travel and all the fun. And she said, and you also, we need to give you days that you don't have anything to do. Like, this is crazy. Your schedule is crazy. I'm like, it's not. I go, I'm doing this all so I can have a month off in December. I'm going to get a whole month of nothing work related because I'm hitting it so hard now. Like, I welcome it. You know what I mean? Don't make it into a negative. It's a positive. If anyone can take it, I can take it. You know what I mean? If anyone can hustle, I can hustle. So I welcome it, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to come up here and sit down with you. I'm not like, oh God, I got to go drive up to Montecito. No. It's the opposite. It's like, I can't wait to go have an incredible conversation with this amazing woman. And then I get to your house and I'm blown away by this whole thing. Like, how happy making is it? Yeah.
I have to say, when I first met you and you're like, I just got to drive in my car alone for an hour and a half. I'm like, oh, it was like one thing after another was so positive. Like you're emitting that high vibration about whatever the circumstances.
Yes.
Which is such a beautiful thing to witness.
Well, I haven't always been this way.
Yeah.
Just, and I'm not in a cult for anyone who's listening who's like, this is a little too positive. No, it's just, I've learned the effects of being positive, and it's just like a ripple effect, and it makes people in your life happy. Like, I'm able to, you're dropping sunshine into everyone's drinks.
Yeah. Okay, I want to ask you, speaking of sunshine, I want to ask you, you're close friends with the Bush twins. And I just did a Hoda and Jenna's show, and Jenna's so great. So I just met her. She's so lovely.
They're so sweet.
I want to ask you about the time when you were popping edibles to meet former President Bush. There's so much more coming up in this episode. You are not going to want to miss it. But first, I wanted to share this with you. In life, you don't soar to the level of your hopes and dreams. You stay stuck at the level of your self-worth.
When you build your self-worth, you change your entire life. And that's exactly why I wrote my new book, Worthy: How to Believe You Are Enough and Transform Your Life for You. If you have some self-doubt to destroy and a destiny to fulfill, Worthy is for you. In Worthy, you'll learn proven tools and simple steps that bring life-changing results, like how to get unstuck from the things holding you back, build unshakable self-love, unlearn the lies that lead to self-doubt, and embrace the truths that wake up worthiness, overcome limiting beliefs and imposter syndrome, achieve your hopes and dreams by believing you are worthy of them, and so much more. Are you ready to unleash your greatness and step into the person you were born to be? Imagine a life with zero self-doubt and unshakable self-worth. Get your copy of Worthy, plus some amazing thank you bonus gifts for you at worthybook.com or the link in the show notes below. Imagine what you'd do if you fully believed in you. It's time to find out with Worthy. Imagine, what would you do if you fully believed in you? My weekly free inspirational newsletter is packed with tips and tools to help you find out. It's called One-on-One with Jamie, and it's delivered right to your inbox each Tuesday morning. It's a love letter from me to you, from my soul to yours, and I hope it brings you the words and messages you need at just the right moment. Plus, when you're a part of my free inspirational newsletter community, you'll be the first to get behind-the-scenes content, inspirational messages, and be the first to learn about upcoming events and more. It's the place to be, and I sure hope you'll join me there. So if you're not on the list yet, you can sign up for free at jamiekernlima.com or click the link in the show notes below. And here's to becoming unstoppable together. And now, more of this incredible conversation together. Speaking of sunshine, I want to ask you, you're close friends with the Bush twins. And I just did a Hoda and Jenna's show, and Jenna's so great. So I just met her.
Yeah,
She's so lovely.
They're so sweet.
I want to ask you about the time when you were popping edibles to meet former President Bush, and we're worried about it because you disagree so much.
Well, we were renting this house in Maine, and then
Yeah.
Sissy Barbara Bush. I call them both Sissy because,
Yeah.
it's just easier to call women sissies instead of trying to remember everybody's names.
Yeah.
We're all sisters. So they had heard that I was in this place, it was called Biddeford Pool where I was staying, and Kennebunkport was only 30, 40 minutes away. So Barbara Bush had heard that I was there. She texted me, and she's like, "We hear you're here in Biddeford Pool. We're here visiting a friend. We're going to come over." And I was like, "Come on over." And I am friends with her and her sister. I love them. And I just love sisters, I come from sisters. I love sisters. And then the first lady came over. I didn't know she was coming. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. This is right after or right before the 2020 election, maybe. I don't know when it was. Around some time where Trump was around, lingering. And I was like, and George Bush hadn't come out and said anything, to denounce him and obviously I'm a very outspoken Democrat. Yeah. And I ended up going, they were having a pickleball. They wanted to have a pickleball tournament with all of our friends that were at my house, and my brothers and sisters were all with me.
Yeah.
They wanted to have a pickleball tournament at Kennebunkport. And I was like, listen, I can't be seen with your father, first of all. Our political ideologies are so vastly different. And I don't really trust myself, quite frankly, in someone else's house. I don't want to insult your father on his own property. So it's better that I don't come. And she's like, "Oh, come on, Sissy, you've been through all this therapy. Come on, you're a different person now." And I'm like, I don't know that I am. My outbursts are as much of a surprise to me as they are to others. At that point in my life, I was just learning how to harness my reactivity, and learning how to be discerning about when I want to drop in my opinions that are unsolicited most often, oftentimes. And so I did. But my one sister was like, don't take this opportunity away from us. Like, take one of your drugs and subdue yourself. So my other
We want to go. We want to go.
I know. My other sister's like, take 2. My brother's like, take 4. Take 4 of your edibles. That's how much you need to just calm down. So yes, I was very stoned when I met the former president of the United States, George W. Bush, and I told him so. I let him know when he was showing me his art paintings, his art paintings, his paintings, his personal paintings, and I would not take my sunglasses off. I let him know that I was indeed very, very stoned, and he was very cute about it. And he was quite charming, frankly, in person, which is exactly why I didn't want to go over there in the first place, because I was like, I'll be a terrible juror. I base my opinions vastly based on people's dimples, and if they look nice and seem cute, I'm like, oh, okay, exactly what a politician's supposed to do.
Do you try to avoid spending time around people who completely don't agree with what you agree with, who feel completely different? Or do you feel like that's changing in your life?
It's there are degrees. You know what I mean? I understand. I can't really spend time around conspiracy theorists. That's a level that I'm not willing to expose. I don't need that energy around me.
Yeah.
I find that to be very low vibes.
The earth is flat, right?
Yeah. By the way, I thought that for a long time too.
Did you?
I thought the moon and the sun were the same thing for a long time. I'm a late bloomer. Anything involving science.
I knew this. You thought the earth and the sun were the same thing.
Yeah.
And what age were you?
40 on safari. I was on safari when my sister looked up and said, the sun, she goes, oh, look, you can see the sun and the moon at the same time. We were riding elephants in Africa, in Botswana. And, we were in South Africa at this time. And she said it, and we were on this elephant together. And I was like, what? See the sun and the moon at the same time? I'm like, what do you mean? And I said, what? And she goes, what do you mean? And my sister, she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I just don't understand how you can see them at the same time. I thought one goes down and the other one pops up, like they switched roles. And she's like, are you? I'm like, forget it. Don't say anything because we're in a caravan of people,
Yeah.
And then, of course, she's like, Chelsea just asked me a question and I need to repeat it to the group. So that was pretty embarrassing. And when Sherry Shepherd got all that shit for saying the earth was flat, I was like, oh, it's not? I was like, I could see, when I thought about it, I realized, but I hadn't really been thinking about it. Kind of like I hadn't really been thinking about the sun and the moon. I hadn't given it much thought because it's not a huge passion of mine. Yeah. Now that I know, I saw the moon today on my drive up here, by the way. It was up there. It's filling up. But now that I know that the moon is its own thing, I'm completely fascinated by it. I can't get enough of it.
Today you saw the sun and the moon.
The sun and the moon, yes.
Amazing. Well, so speaking of things you're passionate about, you said that you believe that Roe v. Wade being overturned was a result of the Me Too movement.
Yeah. I think that's hard for a lot of people to move on from. Losing the power, seeing women who are so self-empowered, seeing women become billionaires. I watched the Martha Stewart documentary. Did you see that? Seeing her become the first billionaire. I didn't know that, the first female billionaire. And then her being taken down by James Comey at the Justice Department.
Yep.
Or that led to his job at the Justice Department. I was like, oh, there you go. There's a woman being successful, doing something that millions of men do every single day.
Yep.
Public figures that are men, and they're not, he used her and they took her down. And I totally believe it was because of a woman. I believe that having a Black president, Barack Obama, for 8 years scared so many white men. I think they thought, oh my God, what's next? What's next? A Black woman, or God forbid, a woman. And I think that is really it's like the opposite of what a democracy is, right? We want a democracy. We think we live in a democracy, and now we're watching that democracy turn into something else that is not a democracy. And that's what people voted for, because they're voting from fear, misinformation, and conspiracy theories. and they are sexist and racist. And there's really not any way to deny that. And in the face of that, it is so important for us to unite in solidarity with each other and empower one another to stand up to what we're about to experience in this world and in this country, to stand up, to fight, and to never look away, to always be a person that is going to help protect others. And in the name of democracy, in the name of equality for everybody, every single person deserves a right to be safe, to have clean water, to have food, and to have health insurance. When you're dealing with people who are trying to wrest that away, that is no longer a democracy. It's something else.
When you mention, the idea that reversing Roe v. Wade is a result of Me Too, do you think there's been such a and you talk about a few stories in your book about this, where the guy that you didn't pay the parking meter, and the guy's like, you didn't pay the parking meter, and it's a fascinating story because he's clueless that I think maybe he's not, but that you don't need his assistance or his protection in that moment. And I feel like we're in this interesting spot. I was at an event recently that I spoke at. There was 19,000 people in this stadium. And the person who was speaking before me was talking about, raise your hand if you have felt unsafe in the past week. And maybe like 10 men raised their hand in the stadium. It was like 50-50 men, women. And he said, raise your hand if you're a woman and you felt unsafe in the past week. And 95% of the stadium raised their hand. And what it was like, okay, if women are walking down the street at night, they're always looking over their shoulder, making sure they're safe, or they have their keys or their pepper spray, or it's, and what I wonder about, Chelsea, I'm so curious about your opinion on this, is that we're in this time where so many men have been raised to go, well, if I'm going to be a good man, I have to protect and take care of, in that example, the 95% of women that raise their hand because they often feel unsafe walking down the street. But then we're also in this time where women are stepping into their power and actually processing that oftentimes in boardrooms, they're not even allowed to speak, or their opinion isn't taken seriously. So we're at this sort of like thing where, not dissimilar in a way from Me Too, where you have men then going, what do I do? What do I do? So
What's my value?
What's my value? And also, like, am I totally damned if I do and damned if I don't? Am I not a good person if I don't try and protect this woman in whatever case, whether it's paying a parking meter or whatever it is? Or am I saying she can't handle things herself if I try to step in and help her? So I feel like it's this interesting spot. And I just wonder your thoughts on if, because we're in that, where so many women are realizing for the first time they're worthy of being on their own. They don't need a man to do what they want to do in life, whether it's to have a child or anything else, or a career, or neither, or any of it. And I just wonder if part of that also, you see someone who is so extreme in the other direction. So I wonder if there's, what are your thoughts on that? Because you have this story that is so empowering, right? Where you're like, I don't need you to tell me I need to pay the parking meter. And
I actually don't need you for anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With regard to men. Like, in relationships, I've always had this dynamic, like, since I am so independent, since I am self-sufficient, since I am self-made, nobody, I've had help along the way, but no one's responsible for my success as much as I am.
Yeah.
And there are so many women like me that are doing it their way, without the help of a man, without a husband, without, and realizing that maybe being a mother isn't for you, and why You learn at a very young age that your value comes from becoming a mother and a wife. Like, I didn't like that. No, I don't think so, And so in relationships with me, I've always found even people who are really successful, men who are very successful, once they realize that I don't need their protection or their money or their gifts or any of that, like what I'm really looking for is like a spiritual connection. Like, I want to love you up and I want to be loved up, and there's nothing else I need from you. A lot of men have a really hard time with that. Now, there are a lot of men, mostly under 50, that are understanding what it means to understand that female empowerment benefits us all. All ships rise with the tide. So when women do well, men actually do better. And that's been proven in societies in different countries. It's been proven ad nauseum. You can look that up and find data to support that. So it's like this old guard it's almost like the death cough of white supremacy is what we're up against, where a democracy means equality, and that's not what they want. They don't want equality, they want subordination. So now they have to turn it into something that looks more like an autocracy because of that. And as women, that's not going to diminish our success. We might feel a little bit less protected by the country, but women are crushing it. And nothing is ever going to stop that, which is why they're so scared in the first place. So as long as we continue to lift each other up, we are all going to rise together. I believe that. Even against the face of what we're dealing with, we have to even get stronger and more connected and help more people. And I'm totally happy to do that. I want to be a beacon of hopefulness for people that need it. And I want to show up and fight the good fight and be outspoken and not let people try to scare you into submission. Like, that's not going to work for me. I'm not giving up and throwing in the towel. I have a responsibility to other people. Another thing I realized I was so vocal, the first time it happened. I was so angry, and I think I was on my Netflix show at that time. And I learned over the course of the last few years that my political opinions used more sparingly are more effective. So I now have a better understanding of when I can make an impact and how I can make an impact, and that rage and anger isn't the way to do it. You have to turn that into usefulness, and be inspiring to others. Show other people who don't know what to do, who don't have big platforms, who don't have big megaphones. Show them how it's done. So and to to just be a sister to everybody you can be a sister to. We need more love in this world, I'm not going to be living in fear. I just won't. I won't let them steal my joy.
Yeah. I was thinking about a lot is women like Gloria Steinem.
Yeah.
And people who have accomplished so much and done so much and spent their entire life advocating. And I was curious what you would say about, because you've spent a lot of your time and energy also, advocating. And so, which is one of the most admirable things that you can do. And so to hear you say, we need to come together now more than ever. We need to rise higher together. We need to not back down. We need to not dim our light and hide or think that our candle is blown out or any of the stuff. A lot of people, I think, are looking for hope right now.
Yeah. And I would always point to female success. Just don't look at, we are more successful than we have ever been. That is the causation of all of this, trying to tamp us down. You will not tamp down women. I have more faith in women than I do in men. So we are not going anywhere. You're not going to you can't kill us. You can't kill our souls. Sorry, it's not. And we're fighters. And now that we understand that all of this success is possible, and Yes, we didn't get the first female president. We'll get there.
Yeah.
It might not happen in our lifetime, but we'll get there. We have to just keep moving towards that goal.
You once said, I don't know if you're joking or not, but about this idea of men going extinct. Do you think that is something that will ever happen?
No, well, it was this idea about parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis is when females are able to procreate without male sperm. And it's happened to a few different species. It's happened to an anaconda. It happened to a condor. And there was one other animal that it happened to that I have to look up. And they procreated. One was in a zoo and had no exposure. The anaconda was in a zoo and had no exposure to a male. So she basically fertilized her own egg and had a bunch of babies because, snakes. Condor, same thing. And then there was a third animal that I can't think of right now. Anyway, we are evolutionarily 1,000 years behind animals. So if men don't clean up their act, we're not going to even need them to make fucking babies at one point, okay? We're going to be able to procreate on our own. We're already able to do it without a penis. You know what I mean? We can already inject sperm and get pregnant. So we're one step closer to actually evolutionarily having our bodies figure out a way to create babies and make them without men. So I would really recommend everyone getting their acts together before they do become extinct.
Speaking of penises, in your book, one of my favorite parts of many favorite parts, but one of my favorite parts was not only, as I keep sharing that I just closed the last page. I read it cover to cover. Like I couldn't stop reading it, right? Which is rare for me. Usually I have to kind of power through. It's so good, Chelsea. And I closed it. And not only, of course, did I feel more courageous, I felt like injected in all kinds of things, but I love living vicariously through some of the stuff you've done. And for anyone out there who's like, has wanted to do stuff, but you haven't, you almost kind of get to live through things, through some of the stories that you share, which I love, from, going to Whistler and sleeping with your ski instructors to all the different things. But one of the things you talk about was about a story about your ex, Ted, and having threesomes. And
he loves
and
us.
so I'm curious, have you had a lot of threesomes in your life? And also, what about foursomes or fivesomes?
No, I've never had a foursome or a fivesome. I've had a few threesomes. I find it very sexy. I find that very sexy. As long as you're in a trusting dynamic with your partner, bringing a third person in, I think can be a lot of fun. But you have to be able to trust each other and do that. And I think about that. I'm definitely open to doing it again. So it was always it's kind of like drugs for me. Like I like adventure,
Yeah.
So I'm always open to more adventure.
Does it matter if the proportion of men and women in it?
It has to be a woman. I don't want to have sex with two men at the same time. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
That's not been a fantasy of mine. But I do like seeing a man, be like a man that I'm with being sexual with another woman when it's in front of me. Like I find that very sexy.
Yeah. What about two women? So three women.
3 women together?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I would be into that. Women are always safe. Like I find women to be more safe than men, obviously.
Do you think you ever would be with a woman in a relationship?
This conversation is so good that we have one more part to come. That's right, part 3 with Chelsea Handler, and we are saving the best for last. If you are ready to truly live more, laugh more, and love more, I am so excited for you to join us in part 3 coming up, where we dive into building the courage to be more bold, confident, and free in your life, and how to get what you want right now and step into your purpose. So if you are ready to find your freedom by releasing your past, not give a damn what other people think, and truly how to be who you are, knowing that the people who are for you will find you and they'll like you too. Get ready to laugh and cry, live, love, and laugh more in your life today. I am so excited for part 3 coming up. If you love today's episode, my only ask is that you please click the follow or subscribe button for the show on your app and give it a 5-star rating or review, and then share this episode with everyone you believe in. Share it with another person in your life who could benefit from it. Post it and share it with others online or in your community who just might need the words and tools and lessons in this episode today. You never know whose life you're meant to change today by sharing this episode. And thank you so much for joining me today. Before you go, I want to share some words with you that couldn't be more true. You, right now, exactly as you are enough and fully worthy. You're worthy of your greatest hopes, your wildest dreams, and all the unconditional love in the world. And it's an honor to welcome you to each and every episode of the Jamie Kern Lima Show. Here, I hope you'll come as you are. Heal where you need. Blossom what you choose. Journey toward your calling and stay as long as you'd like, because you belong here. You are worthy. You are loved. You are love. And I love you. And I cannot wait to join you on the next episode of the Jamie Kern Lima Show. Do you struggle with negative self-talk? Living with a constant mental narrative that you're not good enough is exhausting. I know because I spent most of my life in that habit. The words you say to yourself about yourself are so powerful. And when you learn to take control over your self-talk, it's life-changing. And I wanted to give you a free resource that I created for you if this is something that could benefit your life. It's called 5 Ways to Overcome Negative Self-Talk and Build Self-Love. And it's a free how-to guide to overcome that negative self-talk, to build confidence and develop unshakable self-love so that you can dream big and keep going in the pursuit of your goals. Don't let self-sabotaging thoughts hinder your progress any longer. It's time to rewrite the script of your life, one filled with self-love, resilience, and unwavering belief. If you're ready to take charge of your narrative, build unwavering confidence, and empower yourself to persevere on the path to your dreams, you can grab your free guide to stop overthinking and learn to trust yourself at jamiekernlima.com/resources, or click the link in the show notes below. Who you spend time around is so important, as energy is contagious, and so is self-belief. And I'd love to hang out with you even more, especially if you could use an extra dose of inspiration, which is exactly why I've created my free weekly newsletter that's also a love letter to you, delivered straight to your inbox from me. If you haven't signed up to make sure that you get it each week, just go to jamiekernlima.com to make sure you're on the list, and you'll get your One-on-One with Jamie weekly newsletter and get ready to believe in you. If you're tired of hearing the bad news every single day and need some inspiration, some tips, tools, joy, and love hitting your inbox, I'm your girl. Subscribe at jamiekernlima.com or in the link in the show notes.
I am so excited for this book. You know why? Because it's going to save so many people. It's going to save people. Worthy. Your new beautiful book, Worthy.
Get this book.
This book, I'm telling you, it's a book that can change anybody's life who picks it up. Anybody who's ever felt that they were not good enough, didn't measure up, something's missing in your life, I have to tell you, it's powerful. It's happening. It's worthy.
Imagine, what would you do if you fully believed in you? I went from struggling waitress facing nonstop rejection to founder of IT Cosmetics, a billion-dollar company, by learning how to overcome self-doubt and believe I am worthy of my hopes and dreams. And I'm sharing how you can too in my new book, Worthy, How to Believe You Are Enough and Transform Your Life. If you're ready to truly trust yourself and break through that barrier of self-doubt, and know that where you come from, or even where you are right now, doesn't determine where you're going, then Worthy is for you. It's time to go from doubting you're enough to knowing you're enough. It's time to step into all of who you are and into the person you were born to be. And it's time to believe that you are worthy of it. Because in life, we don't become what we want. We become what we believe we're worthy of. Join the Worthy movement today by grabbing your copy of Worthy anywhere books are sold. Then head to worthybook.com now for free gifts, including my 5-part course on becoming unstoppable and my 95-page Worthy workbook action plan that teaches you how to implement the tools from the book into your real life right now.
Worthy is groundbreaking.
Yo, my God! Worthy, you are worthy.
This book is going to change lives.
This book literally will teach you how to actually feel worthy so that you can have the strength, you can have the confidence.
The lessons in this book and the strategies will change your life. You will never be the same again after you read this book.
Jamie's book, Worthy, is a must-read. It is going to inspire you, empower you, give you the hope that you need and the kick in the rear end that you deserve.
Jamie's book, Worthy, is incredible.
The gifts are going away, but they're all free right now on worthybook.com. It's such an honor to share this podcast together with you. And please note, I'm not a licensed therapist, and this podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional. If you love this incredible episode with Chelsea Handler, I promise you, you're also going to love this life-changing episode of the Jamie Kern Lima Show right here. It's up next just for you.